The 1962 D. Jefferson Nickel, minted in Denver, is not typically one of the rarest in terms of overall mintage, but it holds value for certain collectors. Its history is tied to the broader narrative of the Jefferson Nickel series, which began in 1938 and remains a staple of U.S. coinage. Here's a deeper dive into its history and value. History of the Jefferson Nickel series. The Jefferson Nickel was introduced in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel, which had been in circulation since 1913. Designed by artist Felix Schlag, the Jefferson Nickel features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his home, Monticello, on the reverse. This design has remained largely unchanged, with only slight modifications over the years. The 1962 Jefferson Nickel continued this tradition, with the familiar image of Jefferson on the front and Monticello on the back. The coin is made from a composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel. It was produced at 3 mints, Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver, denoted with a D, and San Francisco, marked with an S. The Denver Mint produced the 1962 D nickel, and the total mintage that year was around 107 million, which is considered a high mintage by today's standards. Despite this, certain variations and grades of this coin can make it valuable for collectors. Value of the 1962 D Jefferson Nickel. Generally, a 1962 D Jefferson Nickel in circulated condition is worth only its face value of 5 cents. However, when the coin is in excellent condition, especially in uncirculated or mint state grades, its value can increase significantly. The higher the grade, the more it is worth to collectors. Circulated coins, in lower circulated grades, such as good, VG, or fine, the 1962 D nickel is worth between 5 and 10 cents, typically only a slight premium over face value. Uncirculated coins, uncirculated examples, particularly those graded MS-65 or higher, can be worth anywhere from $1 to $2, depending on demand and market trends. An MS-65 grade means the coin has no noticeable wear and retains sharp details. Mint state 67 and higher, coins with mint state grades beyond MS-65 are extremely rare, and those that are graded MS-67 can fetch upwards of $10 or more at auction, depending on the market. MS-68 examples are even rarer and may be worth significantly more. Rare variations and collecting. While the 1962 D nickel is not considered particularly rare in terms of mintage numbers, certain factors can increase its collectability. These include high-grade specimens, coins with unique errors or die varieties, and coins with excellent eye appeal. Some rare varieties of the Jefferson Nickel series can command prices in the hundreds or even thousands of dollars, though the 1962 D does not typically fall into this category. Collectors may also focus on full steps varieties. A full steps nickel has well-defined details on the steps of Monticello, and it's considered a more desirable version of the coin. If a 1962 D nickel, the 1954 Jefferson Nickel holds a significant place in the history of U.S. coinage, especially among collectors of the Jefferson Nickel series. While not the rarest Jefferson Nickel overall, certain variations of the 1954 coin can carry considerable value. Here's a closer look at its history and value. History of the Jefferson Nickel, 1954. The Jefferson Nickel was introduced in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel, and it features a design by Felix Schlag. The obverse of the coin features the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, while the reverse depicts his famous home, Monticello. This design has remained largely unchanged for decades, making the Jefferson Nickel one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. The 1954 Jefferson Nickel was struck in nickel-copper alloy, 75% copper, 25% nickel, and was produced in significant quantities at multiple U.S. mints, Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver, D, and San Francisco, S. In 1954, the mintage figures for these coins were relatively high, though not as high as other years in the 1950s. The total mintage for the 1954 coin, across all mints, was approximately 96 million. Despite the relatively high mintage numbers, the 1954 Jefferson Nickel remains highly sought after by collectors, particularly when found in higher grades or with rare characteristics. Value of the 1954 Jefferson Nickel. The value of a 1954 Jefferson Nickel depends on several factors, including its mint mark, condition, and whether it exhibits any unique features or errors. For most collectors, the value of a 1954 nickel varies based on its grade and other characteristics. Circulated coins. In general, coins in circulated condition, such as those graded good, G, very good, VG, or fine, F, tend to have values close to or just above their face value of 5 cents. These coins typically range in value from 5 to 20 cents, depending on the level of wear and damage. The 1954 nickel is not considered rare in these grades, as millions were produced and circulated. Uncirculated coins. In uncirculated grades, the value of the 1954 Jefferson nickel increases significantly. Coins that are graded MS 63 or higher, mint state, can fetch anywhere from $1 to $5, depending on their quality. An MS 65 or MS 66 coin, which is in excellent condition with minimal contact marks, can be worth $10 to $20 or more. High-grade variants. The most valuable 1954 Jefferson Nickels are those that are graded in the higher mint state range, especially those graded MS 67 or higher. These coins are extremely rare and can command prices ranging from $50 to several $100s, depending on their overall condition and demand. Rare varieties and errors. While the 1954 Jefferson Nickel is not considered a particularly rare coin in general, there are certain aspects that make some of these coins more valuable. Full steps, FS, varieties. Some collectors specifically seek out Jefferson Nickels with a well-def. The 1964 D Jefferson Nickel is part of the long-running Jefferson Nickel series, first introduced in 1938. While the 1964 D is not among the rarest coins in the series, certain factors can make it a valuable piece for collectors, especially when found in high grades or with specific characteristics. History of the 1964 D Jefferson Nickel. The Jefferson Nickel, designed by Felix Schlag, has featured Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his home, Monticello, on the reverse since its inception. The 1964 D coin was minted in Denver, as denoted by the D mint mark, and continues to use the same nickel-copper composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel. It was produced in relatively high numbers, with over 1 billion coins struck in 1964 alone. Value of the 1964 D Jefferson Nickel. Typically, a 1964 D Jefferson Nickel in circulated condition holds minimal value, usually only a small premium over face value. Most coins in grades such as good, G, very good, VG, or fine, F, can be found for around 10 to 20 cents. However, the coin's value significantly increases if it is in higher grades or possesses rare qualities. Uncirculated coins. In higher mint state grades, such as MS 65 and MS 66, the 1964 D nickel can be worth $1 to $3. Coins graded above MS 67 are much rarer, with MS 68 examples potentially fetching up to $50 or more, depending on market demand. Factors affecting value. Condition. High-grade, uncirculated examples in MS 65 or better are the most valuable. Full steps, FS Jefferson Nickels with well-defined steps on Monticello's base are highly prized by collectors, and these coins can command a premium. While the 1964 D is not a rare coin by mintage standards, high-quality specimens and those with unique features can make it a valuable addition to a collector's portfolio. The 1965 Jefferson Nickel, while not one of the rarest coins in the Jefferson Nickel series, holds significance for collectors due to its history and condition variations. Here's a look at its background and potential value. History of the 1965 Jefferson Nickel. The Jefferson Nickel, first introduced in 1938, features the portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his home, Monticello, on the reverse. The 1965 Jefferson Nickel was struck as part of the series during a time when U.S. coinage was undergoing various adjustments. The 1965 coin is notable because, unlike the previous year, it was not issued with a mint mark from the San Francisco Mint, making it less notable in terms of collectible varieties. This was a year when the U.S. Mint stopped minting proof coins in San Francisco and replaced them with coins from Philadelphia and Denver. The 1965 nickel continued the same 75% copper and 25% nickel composition that had been used since the introduction of the Jefferson Nickel in 1938. It was produced in large quantities, with more than 1 billion 1965 Jefferson Nickels minted at the Denver Mint alone, marked with the D mint mark. Value of the 1965 Jefferson Nickel. In general, a 1965 Jefferson Nickel in circulated condition, e.g., grades like good or fine, is worth just its face value of 5 cents or a small premium. These coins are commonly found in circulation and are not considered rare by mintage numbers. Uncirculated coins. Coins in uncirculated condition, especially those graded MS 65 or higher, are more valuable. A well-preserved 1965 nickel in MS 65 could be worth anywhere from $1 to $2, depending on its quality and eye appeal. Coins graded MS 66 or MS 67 may fetch higher prices, particularly if they show minimal signs of wear or contact marks. Rare variations. While there are no major error types specific to the 1965 nickel, collectors might look for the full steps variety. Coins with full, well-defined steps on the Monticello building are highly desirable and can bring a premium in higher grades. Conclusion. While the 1965 Jefferson Nickel is not considered rare, it can still be valuable in high-grade, uncirculated condition or with unique characteristics like full steps. For the most part, though, it remains a relatively common coin in the Jefferson Nickel series. The 1980 P. Jefferson Nickel, minted in Philadelphia, is part of the long-running Jefferson Nickel series, which has been in circulation since 1938. While not the rarest nickel in terms of mintage, certain aspects of the 1980 P coin can make it more valuable to collectors, particularly in higher grades or with unique features. History of the 1980 P. Jefferson Nickel. The Jefferson Nickel's design, created by Felix Schlag, has featured Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello, Jefferson's home, on the reverse for decades. By 1980, the coin had become a familiar part of U.S. currency. The 1980 P. Jefferson Nickel was struck in large quantities at the Philadelphia Mint, and it retains the same 75% copper and 25% nickel composition. This was a time when the U.S. Mint had made minor modifications to coinage production to adapt to economic conditions, but the design itself remained unchanged. The 1980 P nickel is notable because it was part of the series during a period of increased coin production, with over 500 million 1980 P nickels minted. While this is not a particularly low mintage, the coin remains relatively common in circulation, though it can still be valuable to collectors in higher grades. Value of the 1980 P Jefferson Nickel. The value of the 1980 P Jefferson Nickel depends largely on its condition. In general, the coin's face value of 5 cents is the base value for circulated examples. However, coins in higher grades or with unique characteristics can fetch much higher prices. Circulated coins. In circulated condition, grades like good, very good, or fine, the 1980 P nickel is not worth much more than its face value. These coins typically trade for 5 to 10 cents, depending on where in demand. Uncirculated coins. Uncirculated coins, particularly those in grades of MS 65 or higher, can be worth between $1 and $5. Coins graded MS 66 or MS 67 are rarer and can command higher prices. A coin with exceptional eye appeal, good strike, and luster may fetch prices ranging from $10 to $20, depending on the market. Full steps and higher grade examples. Like many Jefferson Nickels, the 1980 P coin can also be valued higher if it has full steps on the Monticello building. Full steps means that all 5 of the prominent steps on Monticello's foundation are clearly visible, a feature that many collectors actively seek out. A 1980 P nickel with full steps and a high grade, such as MS-65 or MS-66, could see its value rise above $20 or more. Conclusion. The 1980 P Jefferson Nickel is not among the rarest in the series by mintage, but certain high-quality examples, particularly those with full steps and uncirculated grades, can attract collectors' interest and be worth more than their face value. Coins in lower grades remain common and are not valuable beyond a small premium over face value. For collectors, the key to finding value in the 1980 P nickel lies in its condition and specific features, such as full steps.